And then finally, this is Leibniz after all that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And finally he says, it appears to me that this system has been suppressed, that they knew this system and used it to analyze all of their mathematical problems. And I thought, whoa, because what it appeared to me at that point was what all three men may have been talking about is what I've been calling this topological metaphor of the medium, or in some cases, analogical calculus. So, I was kind of dumbfounded, Bernard. Newton mentioned...
And then they talk about, he also mentions, and he also mentions, Chomsky's generative grammar. And, and
you're right in there with me, dude. It's just like, I don't actually know those ideas, but I've heard bits of it talked about, I think.
Same here. Yeah.
Newton mentions that, the ancients disguised their analysis by verbiage. So in other words, he was alive to the fact that they had some sort of symbolic system, an algebra of sorts, to deal with these things. But the key here for me is Leibniz, because Leibniz, I think, because he was not only interested in mathematics, but like many people in the early Enlightenment, he was interested in linguistics. The thing that caught my eye when he said that this was a calculus without numbers and they achieved their results by an imitation of calculating, the first thing I thought of was Noam Chomsky.
Yeah.
Because, if you look at Noam Chomsky's transformational generative grammar,
right,
what you have there is precisely a symbolic calculus that is doing formal processes, but they're totally unrelated to numbers, and they're not even really reducible even to a binary type of logic. So, all of this is huge. It still kind of boggles my mind. And there are aspects of it, I'll be very blunt and honest here, there are aspects of it I will not and do not talk about because they're very, very dangerous. But it is nevertheless, I think, something that it appears to me that those three mathematicians were quite correct, that there was something going on that we haven't really quite clued into in some of these ancient texts. If you understand it and if you really grasp the significance of it, then it would allow you, if you grasped it in all of its fullness, it would allow you to take, all of those library shelves full of grimoires and ritual magic and, magical how to do it cookbooks, and just throw them away, because you'd have the key, the formally explicit grammar in the Chomskyan sense, rather than these informally explicit grammars or grimoires, as they're called. You'd have the basis of them, and therefore you wouldn't need them. So I do think that there are people out there seeking this, that know that there's something fundamental.
Something not only far more powerful than the kind of magic practiced by occultists, but so far beyond the scope of that it doesn't make sense to compare them. This is the obsolescence of magic. I don't deal in magical operations. I deal in magical operations per second.
Something fundamental that they've been missing. The essence of the metaphor, again, is it's analogical in nature, and that means, if you want to look at it yet another way, it's a mapping function in topology from one context to another. And now let's put analytical overlay over the term context. It's one discipline to another. So in other words, you can detect analogical similarities. This is why Bernstein's lectures are so hugely important, in my opinion, because he approached the whole thing from an analogical point of view,
right?
Trying to point out not only similarities but discrete and formally specifiable similarities between the functions of natural language and the functions of music, or the rhetorical tropes of natural language.
But it's just so right on it, because I've been thinking this whole time, like, whatever I was like, I'm looking at, I feel like this is the type of thing that Pythagoras and the cult of the Pythagorean cultists were regarding as like a mystery and a secret. You know, you had the reason of like them to have a cult about it is because of this.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't, you know, maybe it's not the exact same thing, but I think there's a similarity there. But whatever he was talking about was like just along that same thing. And then he said something about like qualitative topology or some sort of topology, which is like hugely applicable to the same talking about. It's like acting as a he's a metaphor of a topology of a shape, right? To basically be talking about these different layers of dimensionality as sort of occurring on a surface of a shape. Mm-hmm. And that is like kind of where it goes. And then you brought up the grammar thing, which is
a word that I think fits well here is syntax as well. Like it's kind of like the way in a sense, mathematical ways in which language, like we could think about the divine word of God, like that the logos like goes through these permutations are almost mathematical. Like there is a syntax to the way things must happen in some sense, and that we can think of it in this linguistic way as well. And it fits with the eurythmy stuff insofar as there is a syntax to there is patterning, and there are let's say archetypal or recognizable patterns to our language, and there are
similar structures that appear in music.
Music and language are closely related, as the nature of language lies in the conception of poetic rhyming. Leroy Lemke points out that the words rhyme and rhythm
still give evidence of their common etymological reference to regular repetitions or identities in the form of sound, but the English language no longer gives evidence of a more general moral or aesthetic meaning. In German, on the other hand, the root rhyme still contains this more general meaning, particularly in its negative form of Ungereimtheit, which is a term of opprobrium applied to unfitting, incongruous, inept words or acts. Rhyme and rhythm seem thus to be special artistic applications of a more general principle of mutuality, fittingness, or consonance.
The aspect of our earthly being that was expressed through our ability to speak and pour thoughts into the form of words, the sole meaning of our speech, crops up uncomfortably, at least as things are at present on earth, in the memory as a dissonant element in the cosmic music. A dissonant element actually enters the cosmic music because we carry a remnant of our speech capacities into our sun sphere existence. Perhaps the nature of what speech was at one time could manifest again on earth, owing to the fact that some of us are learning eurythmy. However strange it may seem from an earthly standpoint, it is nevertheless true that when we view the planetary movement from out there in the universe, when we behold how Mars, let us say, carries out its movements in the direction of Taurus, the movement is a script that sounds at the same time. This is the starry script inscribed by our own deeds in universal space. It is no wonder that when we return again, we prepare what belongs to us by our karma, for we could not do otherwise than prepare our future physical body under the guidance of this stellar speech. It is the more intangible, more intimate traits of a man which, taken quite concretely, lead back through the life between death and a new birth into former earthly lives. In these investigations, it may be more important to observe a man's gestures or some habitual mannerism, than to consider what he has achieved perhaps as a figure of renown. The mannerisms of a person, or the way he will invariably answer you, not so much what he answers, but how he answers. Whether, for example, his first tendency is always to be negative, and only when he has no other alternative to agree, or whether again, in quite a good-humored way, he is rather boastful. These are the kind of traits that are important, and if we pay special attention to them, they become the center of our observations and disclose a great deal.
And I can tell you from speaking multiple languages, living in a foreign country, one of the hardest things to do is one, when you're teaching someone English, to teach them the tonal range that transfers as much information as the words do.
Right.
And it's when you're learning another language, you sound flat to other people because you're unable to get the it's almost like a sing-song that underrides like a subcarrier wave, that's underwriting the language and carrying all this information with it.
Right.
And this is I guess pretty much related to what we're on about here.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially with Chomsky, that's definitely part of his deal.
Oh yes, absolutely.
The unspoken grammar. But I've already kept you much longer than I promised. But I do want to plug your website, gizadeathstar.com.
And there are, let's say, archetypal or recognizable patterns to our language, and it's like this metaphorical. When I smile, it's relatable, and like this is this like mathematics, basically this syntax, which is going on all the time, and in this metaphorical way or something like that. And I think we are all kind of doing this calculus in a sense, like that everything is doing this in a sense, and it maps to. We talked about this briefly the other night, how it maps to Galahad's thing about constellation, which is
as soon as you said that constellation thing, I had a moment of oh yeah, I see what he's talking about now. Yeah. This is why you sent this to me, because this is the way it relates. I was like, yeah,
dude, it's like to connect the dots, as it were, or something like to.
It is to liberate the senses from the confines of time and space, to glimpse the rays of light which shine from beyond reality, to make contact with the past, present, and future simultaneously. Though this may sound like science fiction or esoteric fancy, it is in truth what the nervous system is built to do. The human brain is an organ which uses abstractions to connect unconnected sensory events separated by time and space, and give them meaning. Constellation is a way of seeing. It's not a collection of practices. This encapsulates the difference between constellating and not constellating. It's an analogy and not a perfect one, but it illustrates the essential point. In the zoomed-out clip, far more information is available, and for this reason, it is much easier to construct a gestalt, that is, a simplified internal model of a system of parts. After I internalize the cosmogram, the strangest thing I notice is that the once chaotic, random activity in the world feels increasingly intelligible and intelligently directed. The apparent connectedness of all events has increased. Subjectively, things no longer seem so disjointed and accidental. I also perceive what I interpret as messages issued from an intelligent source and encoded in my surroundings. I had always read into things and seen signs in questionable contexts, but this is different. These are blazingly salient and impossible to ignore. By perceiving these shining threads, by seeing more connections between past, present, and future, consciousness begins to lose its locality. It spreads out and occupies multiple points in time at once. Though I have made supernatural claims, this is not one of them. All I mean to say is that by perceiving a more continuous narrative, one that is less transitory, proximal, and fragmented, we perceive more future and more past in the present, And because we perceive it, when we act here and now, we are also acting there and then. And if you understand the capstone as being the present moment fully zoomed out, and you understand that the entire structure is vertically isomorphic, then theoretically what that would mean is that at the base of the pyramid is an image which encodes all possible futures. And that's what the present moment is, and it contains all of them. The more integrated the personality, the higher you go. The higher you go, the more potential futures you have access to from any given moment. This ascent would be experienced as an increase in psychic resolution. Your senses and thoughts would seem to get clearer. What we are beginning to witness is the infancy of a new form of perception. In martial arts, if they're teaching you how to strike through a wooden board, they'll teach you not to aim at the board. They'll teach you to aim through the board, at a point on the other side. If you do this, you'll break the board. If you don't, you won't. Now, this has an interesting parallel. In Orthodoxy, an icon is said to be a window into heaven. You look through an icon, you don't look at an icon. This is a general truth which I apply to all representation. With any representational pattern, you're always looking through a window at something outside of time. Constellation is the application of these two principles. It's the idea that using symbolic perception, you can look through phenomena at objects outside of time, and that by aiming at those objects, you can break through what otherwise appear to be uncrossable barriers.
And like in his first article that he described, he used the analogy of a cube, where, and this is crazy because that's the experience I had in I'll try and be brief here. I remember I put it really nice and punctually. It was like a nice little concise thing, but or maybe that was with someone else. I think you were there though, or maybe you just left. I was describing it because I put it in the chat. You can think of a Rubik's Cube, where a Rubik's Cube is the same color on each side, right? Or like one full color on each side, and that the center, when you rotate aside, the center stays the same. And you can imagine, so like that perfect completed cube, as it were, like the archetypal cube is always shining through those center points. Like you can see it almost like as an octahedron encoded. And then there's these various permutations, kind of like the syntax of the language or something. And then and when I sorry, it's a lot, and I just described this the other night, where I had this experience in 2016, late 2016, 2017, where I saw a cube with an eye in the center of each face of the cube. And it's like how there is this, and upon reading his article about constellation, it's that the, like the teleological object of view, or like the octahedron, which is your mythical self, or maybe like the I, maybe, or like the scourge, the eschatological you, in a sense, like is always shining through your eyes, and that I can, and then there's also a way that you could solve the cube, which is to turn the whole body into a larynx, as Steiner would say, or that it already is the case, that that's how it is, and we live into this reality, and yeah, so I think there's strong mappings there as well. I kind of, some of my best articulation of it, but something like that. And
it was really, really kind of profound when you told me about this cube thing, and then like I didn't even put it together at first, but then as I was continuing to work, I was like, wait, this is the same thing I'm pretty much talking about. And then I like had the net of the cube, and I was like excited to show you, because like the net of the cube is like cross, but like
yeah, and that's in his hopefully he wouldn't mind. It was a private article, but something is happening here. I am.
Yeah.
It's very numinous, so it's kind of hard to like track. This is kind of like what I saw, and it maps to this, and
There's definitely something about the cube, and I know there's a lot of stuff online about like the black cube of Saturn and conspiracy stuff and stuff. But it is kind of striking to think like, isn't that in Israel they're just a huge black cube?
Yeah, no, there's also some definitely some weird stuff about this. However, I think it's like you can also see the cube in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and there's associations with the cube of Saturn, like
but that's where if you look at this from like a kind of a conservative religious perspective, it becomes that's satanic, and maybe there is like a some sort of Luciferic harmonic thing about it, but looking into the occult aspect of it as not necessarily just evil, I think kind of helps make more sense of it. Like,
yes, and of course I don't recall the coloration of this cube that I saw, but I know it was not black. I know that it was multicolored, and there's big, like red or yellow, or they were rainbow, like wiggly lines behind it, and of course you have the cube with the New Jerusalem is described as this having something cubic about it, and like they have the 8th day, and people talk about the 8th note or something as well, and
there's so much esoteric things to go into about the cube, which I'll have to also make a study of, because I need that it all fits in so well. But maybe this cube is kind of pushing into the zeitgeist in various ways, and at a certain time it seemed to be a black cube because it was so much
unconscious is the way that
it was so hard to perceive that, like, even the cube is a little shaky because it's so dark.
Yeah, and there's this connection in that video I was just showing there. It's Griffin was talking about like the black box is also a thing. It's like this symbolic, it fits with and that's like a technical thing, and how the New Jerusalem is also technical, but it's about conscious technology, or like so something there for sure. It's crazy, dude, and it's so amazing. And also I want to show that this so it was crazy that I didn't actually realize until, like, I had definitely known about the fact that this is the cube as well, but it really didn't strike me entirely until yesterday, that you have the center of each face encoded here as well. And
and it makes a hypercube as well.
And I made this image not thinking of the cube connection at the time. Dude, I made this image.
Yeah, but you have
not realizing that this is the cube with the eye in the center that I saw. And so I made this one, and then this maps to the shared story guys thing, like surprisingly well, such that you can see this like these. I just talked about this in another conversation that I want to post soon, but yeah, you can see that these correspond quite well, like Mercury, or like the third chakra here being the sword of truth, speaking true words, and this being about the spectrum of love and relationality, like the Ankh being a symbol of life and fertility as well, with like the sacral chakra being about relating and creativity, and then 3 eyes and the heart in the middle, and and yeah, so that maps pretty
all
cool.
the different geometry shapes that come about. But you have, anytime with the hexagon that you have, you will be able to make a cube, a three-dimensional cube. It looks like a hexagon on flat. So that is right there in front of you, and you don't even see it until you're like, oh, it was a cube the whole time. But what is it? There's a hexagon perfectly shaped, like right at the pole of Saturn, if you look at it in space. And so there's this connection, and Saturn is Chronos, which is time. And I think that's really important to this whole thing, is that it's in a sense becoming, it's compressing into time, or it's becoming more and more apparent. So something about that teleological object.
Yes, the cube for this guy is also goes with the physicality of the body. And it's interesting talking about the black cube, going with like this would be on this corporeal side, because of course this is abyssal darkness or corporeal darkness, and so like maybe this is a more plutonic energy of the cube would be the black cube perhaps, or something, and you have the golden cube. Oh, it's so beautiful, dude. It all freaking fits so perfectly. And you have the golden cube more towards the sun. And then when you put it with the Abraxan cosmogram, that would be like around here. It's on this harmonic, like, which goes with Saturn and Yaldabaoth and Aquarius, being this this corporeal thing as well, and the material, and it's just
like, I'm always impressed when you and Keelan and some other people,
his destiny or his learning or something has something to do with how I move into, like, the way I kind of, where I'm coming from or something like that, and then his my sort of learning or whatever has to do with like his Virgo conscious, like his sense of ego, selfhood, or something like that. Largely I'm chuffed about this degree right here, because this, in the cosmogram, this would be the you have Pisces over here, and then Aquarius with the cup bearer. Like, you have the 4 fixed signs here. So then this would be Sagittarius right here. And interestingly, the galactic center is actually in Sagittarius right here, and it's right at these, as you can see right here, very close to here. And I don't know, just symbolically, it's all I love it. And so that kind of strikes me. This is a very idealistic, spiritual kind of, like a visionary type of vibe, and so we have a connection in that regard. And then something about this Pisces Virgo axis really speaks to me about, like, something to do with Christianity, like maybe rework, like engaging with.
That's interesting that you just said that. It kind of, because obviously the Pisces and Christianity thing is well trodden, but it always kind of was interesting, because I noticed that there is a virgin in the story, but I never I was like, well, it doesn't track that well, because isn't that not even there? But to see that it's,
I think it's huge.
It's opposite. You could see that, in a sense, born of a virgin.
Yeah.
It's like going across.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. And this would insinuate that this next, Keelan chopped it up in his recent video by Pisces being like the first 1,000 years more so, and then the second 1,000 years ruled by Virgo, ruled by Mercury, which is this more alchemical, discursive sort of thinky type of thing. And that would map, and that would suggest that this next one will be this Aquarius Leo axis, interestingly. But yeah, I think that the Mary connection, that would definitely make sense, and I think it's a huge part of.
Yes. So as far as like as it's shifting from more
the Virgin to the Lion, which is beautiful because, of course, this is the tarot card Force, right here.
This signifies the fact that the Virgin nature always takes part in miracles,
and this is, this virginal force, which is quality over quantity, and beautiful connections coming to mind between the Virgin and Leo, because this is a card that goes with Leo as well. Oh my gosh,
Virgin and Leo. Wow. Oh yeah. No. Okay. Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, because I was like too busy thinking about what I already know about the card, but then yeah, that's perfect. What we're talking about, the Virgin is kind of the strength is not that Leo. It's at least for now. The Virgin is the one that's restricting the force, the wild force, and into an intelligibility, and that's more like the real strength is this kind of reserve in a sense to resist.
It's beautiful. That's from Tom Brugge's Meditations on the Tarot, where he talks about this virginal force, as it were, this true force. Like it goes with the word and stuff as well. It's, I'll butcher it if I try and, but yeah, I would recommend that where he talks about that. And yeah, it's crazy thinking about this astrological connection, how that would. I wonder if maybe there's a way where we could see, maybe a brief excursion into the realm of tarot to look for connections.
Yeah.
In the Leo card, you can see something of Virgo in the Virgin, right? And then maybe in the Aquarius card, you can see something of Pisces, which indeed you can. You have the pool of water.
So the moon.
The moon goes with so actually, yeah, the moon is the card for Pisces, and then the card for the moon is actually the High Priestess, and the Virgo card is the Hermit. Interesting. We got the pool of water. Here, thing is coming out of the water. Here, water is going in to the pool of water. That's interesting. Also, I learned recently that this goes with the North Star as well. And it was called Stella Maris, and people have talked about Maris maybe has this connection with maritime and Mary, and because people on the ocean would call this the Star of Mary, or Mary there would be something there, and how this is supposed to depict the North Star in on the card here. As you can see, the other stars kind of around it, and that's an interesting connection, which I actually just learned yesterday. It's kind of pretty neat.
Yeah. What's the Capricorn association said to be?
Capricorn goes with the devil.
No.
No.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have heard that. The devil. I think it makes more sense when you combine it, at least for me, with the whole Kabbalistic tree of life, and looking at them in terms of the path of severity and the path of beauty, or whatever, kind of lines up that way to make sense.
Yeah, I definitely think that
the devil, it's not like as much what the modern Christian conception of a devil is. It's more just like this kind of severity in the sense, like, if you do
yes
bad things and you bind yourself to evil in this way, you choose to be shackled to evil, there is like real consequence to
Yes.
that, and it's not avoidable in that sense. But
Yes. And I think severity is a very key word, because that pillar, like there's the pillar of severity and the pillar of mercy, and like it's like consonance and dissonance, and how we have both of these in music. Very beautiful. And who'd have thought the devil is also beautiful in a sense. And but yeah, these are the correspondences, and I'm very much again inclined to recommend. I kind of breeze over the force thing with Leo, because honestly it's almost like an emotional thing for me. I think it's so beautiful, the virginal force. I'm not a virgin, but you know, it's